first guest, Colorado legend.
Former Colorado wide receiver Mike Pritchard.
Mike Pritchard, and also former teammate of one Deion Sanders.
Right. Current legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, right? Great to be with you guys. How you doing?
Doing well, man.
Right
How are
on.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Hosting the Super Bowl. My city, right? And we're hosting a Super Bowl, so I couldn't be happy right now.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
man. Let's get right into it. It's been a year since I talked to you. Last time, it was all speculation as it came to what the Coach Prime Buffs were going to look like. Now that you've seen it and seen what he brings, what's your kind of reaction 1 year in?
I love it. I wish I could put the headgear back on, to be honest with you. No, it is. I am so happy for everybody. Rick George, I'm happy for the student body that gets to see the excitement that I lived for a while. And, what he's doing right now is unprecedented. It really is. I don't know how to quantify it, but all I know is this. Our program was not relevant for decades. And all of a sudden we're at the tip of the tongue for everybody in terms of college football. And then that carries over to basketball, women's and men's, right? And that carries over through all sports. And so the spotlight, the shine is on CU and in Boulder, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, he's done a tremendous, tremendous job. And to be honest with you, probably the only person in this world that could have done what he's done already.
How would you describe last season? Obviously starting very hot and then kind of just went on that losing skid. Shedeur got hurt at the end. Travis was a little banged up too. Just how do you look back on 2023?
I think it was successful. Considering where we were as a program, you have to look at it as being a successful year. A surprising year to a lot of people, and Coach Prime let them know, rightly so. But not surprising to the people that put in a hard work. I mean, you guys have been there. You guys are crushing it too, by the way. Thank you for the content.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's incredible. Because I'm out here in Vegas, and so I get to live it through you guys, and it's been awesome. But I love the fact that you pointed that out. People don't understand, the narrative or the stories that are created about the mass exodus, but you don't understand what's coming in here, right? You guys were in the forefront of all that, and was spot on with it. So I think it's continuing too. So I'm excited for the future because I know the hard work is probably over, meaning the culture, establishing that, the standard, creating that, and then all of a sudden the support's there. It's there in spades. And so now the easy part starts and begins, and that's coaching these 4- and 5-star athletes and getting them all on the same page and getting them to play at a high level.
What do you think is the next steps? I think you're right. They had to, Coach Prime comes in, he has to redo the entire roster. He has to uproot all of this. They've got to, try and microwave a culture and all that stuff into one. And we saw a lot of it work. Some of it didn't. And now, like you said, you're kind of on past the rebuild part, and now you just get to build.
Right.
What does that entail?
Well, I mean, there's parallels to my time at CU. I mean, you get the athletes you get, and then you run a system you have to run. Like, we ran the wishbone my freshman year. What the hell are we doing in the wishbone, right? But that's what everybody was kind of doing, and you kind of, the wishbone, you got these option quarterbacks. But then you recruit, Eric Bieniemy, you recruit George Hemingway, you recruit, me and some others, and J.J. Flanagan. We don't need to be in the wishbone. We need to be in the eye, and then we need to take advantage of the perimeter game too with some other aspects that we had offensively. We had one of the better offensive lines, so Coach Mack and everybody made sure that was intact and stable. And then take your pick. I mean, Sal Nessie, Darian Hagan, Charles Johnson. I mean, you go on and on and on with all these quarterbacks that we had too. And then defensively, just stack it, right? So I think that's what Coach Prime's doing. He's stacking it. And he's going to let these guys duke it out in practice, which that's the way it should be. Let's see who wants to start. Let's see who wants to be prominent. Let's see who wants to be a difference maker. And if you love that type of competition, then CU certainly is the right place for you. And that's what I think he's bringing in, those type of players.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some battles. I mean, look at the wide receiver room.
Stacked.
Those guys are going to be fighting for playing time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, every time we talk about it on this show, someone's saying, you guys are sleeping on this guy. It's like, we're not. There's just so many options. Like, one day we're going to talk about Will Shepard. Yep. Another day we're going to talk about Jimmy Horn. Another day we're going to talk about LeJontay Wester. Like, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, you guys introduced me as a legend, but it's funny because it's like in a running back room, at one time we had Eric Bieniemy, George Hemingway, myself, J.J. Flanagan, and O.C. Oliver, right? And like, okay, who's going to get the rock?
Yeah.
But we had to fight it out. But what the coaches did is, you guys are all too good. We're all going to put you all on the field. So they created a wing back for me. Obviously, George moved to fullback, and then J.J. and Eric shared the tailback responsibilities. And at wide receiver, we had Jeff Campbell, who was just in town, by the way. And it was great to catch up with him. But he showed the way in terms of how explosive we needed to be on the perimeter. And then, therefore, that's how I moved to the outside to play wide receiver.
With that, since we're just talking scheme, I mean, they went through like the offensive coordinator change last year and all that. They were trying to go really spread. You know, you think of TCU as a lot of empty, a lot of 5 wide. I guess, what do you see coming from Pat Shurmur this next season in that offense?
Well, I mean, he's a West Coast kind of guy. I mean, I think maybe a more conventional pro-style offense. Which you can feature spread elements to it. We're going to see that in the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. But, you know, Shedeur, he diagnosed plays so well, and he's got such a strong arm, and he's so confident. You want to keep him in the pocket. I think he wants to be there too. So a West Coast style offense, which can be athletic at times, but then also you got to win from the pocket. These two teams run it. These teams in the Super Bowl, they run that style. But you can still incorporate the spread. But I think everybody in college is doing the spread.
Yep.
Like, go back to the wishbone. When everybody's running a wishbone, you got to be different, right?
Yeah.
So if everybody's running a spread, and all of a sudden now you come in with something different with these type of players, that's going to be hard to defend.
Absolutely. I'm always interested in talking to guys who played about this. And it's not one for one, but you did play 2 different positions. It just wasn't on both sides of the ball.
Right.
Travis Hunter, playing at wide receiver, playing at corner. First of all, where do you stand on, is this sustainable? Should he keep doing it? And where do you stand on which one he's better at?
Well, I saw it for 3 years with Coach Prime, though, right, in Atlanta. So he was always lobbying to play on the offense side of the ball, right? And he was effective for us. I mean, you know, Jason Phillips, who's now the offensive wide receivers coach, Jay Phil, he was on that roster too. And he's going to add so much to that offense. And just that dog mentality, right? And I think Travis has that. What Deion, what Coach Prime's going to help, and he has already, is help Travis manage it. Because that's all you're talking about. He's in shape. He's going to be in shape.
Yeah.
He loves playing both sides, so you're not going to take that away from him. He's flourished at it. It's just managing it now, right? Yeah. And so not everybody knows how to manage it. That's the beauty of Coach Prime. He knows how to manage it from a high-profile standpoint, and that's where Travis is right now. So I almost ran through the TV when that CSU guy hit him. I almost did.
Oh, man.
But, you know, hopefully things like that won't happen, and we'll see the true Travis play the entire year the way that he projected himself to play. I mean, TCU, from that starting, that's his launching pad, what he did right there, and that was phenomenal. But to carry it throughout the entire season without injury, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
You played wide receiver. Zay Weaver was an amazing wide receiver for Colorado this last year. But he's not really getting like NFL draft buzz. I guess, why do you think that is, and how do you think he projects to the next level?
Well, I mean, the combine is everything, right?
True.
I mean, I think when I was playing, and, you know, the offense that we ran, obviously, you know, we're running the ball, and Eric's a Heisman Trophy finalist, Eric Bieniemy. And so we're known for a running team. So it wasn't until I got to the combine in which I kind of distinguished myself. So I think Weaver can do that. His skill set is off the charts. The combine and his pro day and all that stuff is going to be everything. You know, whether, you know, he's a higher draft choice or wherever he goes. I mean, he can play in the league. We all know that.
Definitely.
It's just the opportunity, and certainly I think he's got control over that. And that's the most important thing that he needs to know right now is you're not getting a spotlight like these others, but that's okay. You create your own spotlight. And I think the combine and pro day, he's got plenty of time to do that.
I think we talked about this last year, but for new listeners of our show, what was it like just being a teammate of Deion Sanders?
I mean, first of all, you're an alderman because I'd never seen anybody run like that before. But I think his persona supersedes everything, right? I mean, he'll take over a room. Like, he'll walk into this whole auditorium, or where are we at? Like a convention center.
Yeah.
And
you could hear it. We wouldn't even have to see it. We would be able to hear it.
Oh, yeah, there would be a buzz, but then everybody's attention would just go over there.
Yeah.
And without him saying that thing.
Yeah.
And that was true way back then. But his work ethic on the field was, I've never seen that before. I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've never witnessed anything like that before. You certainly couldn't match it. But it made him the player that he became, obviously the best ever. But I think his example, too, was contagious, right? Because you wanted to get to his level. You certainly wanted to pick his brain if you could. And we did as players, but you couldn't duplicate it. And you always tried to do it. You always tried to see if you could. But now the guy was a hard worker and very, very, very competitive, wanted to win, and obviously did that in his career.
Also, tell us about Jason Phillips.
Oh, man,
I think that's a new kind of name, new face around here.
So run and shoot guy. But the thing about Jason Phillips, his knowledge for the game in that position is off the charts, I believe. But he got after Deion in practice. So we have the scout team look, right, and Deion took every rep. J. Phil wanted to take every rep with the team, the show team.
Yeah.
Like, say we're playing San Francisco, J. Phil wanted to be Jerry Rice and all this. But he would get after Deion. Like, he would talk mess with him. He would get in his face. He would get physical. He would run routes. He would just be tenacious. I mean, he would just get after Deion and push him. And I think that's where that relationship started from, to where, he worked with him at Jackson, obviously, and now he's a wide receivers coach. But Deion wants dogs, and J. Phil is a dog. And I think that wide receiver room is going to turn into what Deion wants it to.
The whole time you were saying that, I was just, now I get it.
Yeah, now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you've heard about it a
well,
little bit?
I just mean the fact that as you're telling that story about Jason Phillips, I'm understanding this is where this level of respect that Coach Prime now has for him. It's like that's the type of player that he's trying to find. That's the type of, whether it's a walk-on or a five-star player, like he wants those types of guys who are doing that in practice.
Yeah, you got to remember, J. Phil at Houston, that guy was setting records, man. And it was a run and shoot offense and stuff. And so you get to the league and you get a couple of stops and, numbers games or whatever happens. But what are you going to do with the opportunity? And I think he knew that his opportunity certainly was getting Deion ready for who he had to, Michael Irvin or Jerry Rice or Chris Carter or whoever, like from a mentality standpoint. Deion was going to figure out the game. He knew how he was going to play those guys. But his mind, boy, getting him sharp, and getting him ready for that type of competition, J. Phil did that each and every week.
Buffs back in the Big 12. I know it's a little different now, but just curious about your thoughts on the new look Big 12 and where we're headed, really.
New look NCAA, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. I like it. This is our conference, right? The Big 8, you go back those days, which I was a part of, to the Big 12. Big 12 championship, the Pac-12, it just seemed like we were out of place. And I know we wanted to recruit Cali, but we were doing that already, though, right? Deion's going to recruit everywhere. Coach Prime and his staff, they're going to recruit everywhere now anyway. So I love getting back to the roots, and I love getting back to what the Big 12 is now. And I think, more importantly, CU understands the Big 12 academically, from an institution standpoint, and then certainly on the field. So I love it. Basketball. Think about the conference now. Conference champions before, but the teams that are in the Big 12 from a basketball standpoint, my goodness. But no, I'm looking forward to the challenge for the Buffs football-wise as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I think we got to let you go, but before you do, where can people find you?
Well, Mike Pritchard, I'm still on there on X now. But I'm working with DraftKings and VSiN. So you can find our work there in Vegas. I'm going to be out for spring ball, hopefully, this year. So I'm going to be all around. I got to support, just like I've seen the support kind of just come in droves now around the program. So I can't wait.
All right. Well, when
man.
you're in town, hit us up, and we'll have
sure
you down
will.
at the
Yeah,
bar.
Oh, man, I can't wait for that.
All
That's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right, there he is, Mike Pritchard. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Appreciate you,
All
man.
right, enjoy
Thank
the
you.
week. Yep.